How's it going, everyone? Okay, so today we're going to be going over budget PC builds. We're going to be using Tom's hardware on this. I'll give my criticism on what their picks are, and I'll go over what I would change or not change for these budget PC builds. Nice looking PC. Using Zotac there for GPU, nice. Be quiet, it's cooler on that, that's nice too. If you want a computer that meets your exact needs and budget, you need to put it together yourself. When you build a gaming PC, you get a total control over the parts. Yes and no for pricing and that. All the pricings could be different. You could get a lot cheaper kit of RAM and if you know how to overclock it, you can get a cheaper kit of RAM that can match a higher end kit of RAM. So a little different than that. There's so many different CPUs and GPUs that you could use too nowadays. It's absolutely insane. It also depends on what you're actually going to be using it for too. Choosing the exact make and model of the motherboard, the case with what you like. Even with the layout of RGB or not RGB fans, you could save time by purchasing one of the best pre-built game PCs, but you end up getting control and spend more. Yeah, you will spend more on pre-builts. Again, they're pre-built. They gotta make money off of it. They gotta pay someone to put them together, right? Even though they're probably buying all these components by bulk, so they are saving money by buying bulk PC hardware. So it's a toss up for the pre-built industry, in my opinion. By constructing your own PC from components, you'll likely save $100 over the cost of buying a pre-built system. For example, right now, get a desktop with specs similar to those in their best $1,000 PC build will cost you about 200 more at Best Buy. To help you assemble the best PC build for gaming and productivity that you can get, we've created recommended part lists for every budget, from a super cheap sub $500 system to an affordable sub $1,000 build, to a $4,000 plus dream machine for those with deep pockets. Yeah, it's an expensive system. And right now, like the 5090s that you're looking at, again, I'm saying like if you haven't checked out my video on PC GPUs right now. So the GPUs right now going into April for Canadian prices are absolutely insane, and a 5090 could cost you over $4,000. Gotta love the scalpers. Picking and pricing the best PC builds. Note that our best PC build recommendations are based on our components expertise, market research, and testing we've done of the key components in each build, namely the CPU, GPU, and SSD. More or less probably going to be the NVMe, not SSD. The solid state drive. It's NVMe is going to be faster, of course. You can find more performance details for each of those in our CPU benchmarks, GPU benchmark, and SSD benchmarks. Because we're trying to hit price points and frequently change these lists to accommodate price changes. Price changes fluctuate all the time. It's absolutely insane. We have not tested all these parts in each build together. Some of the less performance centric parts, such as the case, motherboard, and PSU, may be ones that we have not reviewed. This is a time of great transition in the PC industry with new graphics cards from Nvidia and AMD coming out, but hard to obtain. Yeah, the video cards are selling like hotcakes and they're not making enough. Same thing with AMD, even though AMD speculated that they had lots for people to buy, they're still sold out and it's very hard to find the prices at MSRP or even close to MSRP price right now. Intel also recently came out with its Core Ultra Arrow Lake chips, though we found that they don't offer as much performance for the money as prior 14th gen CPUs, so we're not recommending them. They don't have hyper-threading. Multi-core is not as good. It is good. It's just not as good as like the 14900K versus their 285K. And Meteor Lake is actually on the way, and yeah, they got some new CPUs, and I will be reviewing those as well. In building this list, we decided to recommend the most reasonably available cards for all of the builds that are under $2,000. However, for the $2,000 and $4,000 systems, we're recommending the new RTX 5070 Ti and RTX 5090 cards, which are nearly impossible to get. Well, when you want some of the best GPUs on the market, of course, they're going to be hard to find, especially if they're not manufacturing them fast enough and stocking, replenishing the stocks in the actual retailer stores. Unless you turn to scalpers on eBay. And yeah, absolutely insane for the prices there. I mean, absolutely insane. Perhaps by the time you read this, the situation will have improved. Most likely not. For each card, we recommend we link to a search list of all cards with that chip rather than a particular SKU, excluding all Radeon RX 7000 XTs on Amazon versus just one. The reason for that is that inventory is fungibly that we want to give you the best shot of finding a card with the recommended GPU in stock. Also note that we don't include the cost of an operating system. It's going to cost you money for an operating system. One thing pre-built is good for is it comes with that. Even though it's going to cost you $200 more, an operating system is going to cost you about $100 for Windows 11. Because you can get Windows 11 for free or cheap. Not free. If you had Windows 10 prior and you switch it over to Windows 11, that is how you can get Windows 11 for free. But you still have to pay for Windows 10, and that is $100. Nor do we include the price of peripherals such as the best gaming monitors, best gaming keyboards, or best gaming mouse. And if you've never built up a computer before, you should start with a guide on how to build a PC. I have videos on budget PC builds and components that I personally enjoy using, especially for budget custom water loops. I do have videos on that. They are old, but I can make a new video if you would like. Best $500 PC build for gaming. Not a terrible looking case. It's a different spot for an for USB and headphone jack, but and power button. It's on the side. I don't think I've seen this case before. All right, so again, this is USD prices, and so it's not Canadian, but it's gonna be fairly close. You just got to add on a little bit onto that. So $90, it'll be about $130 or $125 Canadian for that. About $140 for the motherboard Canadian. Let's go over the CPU though. CPU Intel Core i3-14100F. It's a decent CPU. A lot of people do use it. It is a good budget build CPU in my opinion. For 90 bucks, that's pretty good. 125. You can find it for around $100 on Amazon though. Canadian. Motherboard Gigabyte B760M DS3H DDR4. My opinion, you should be going to DDR5 just for the higher bandwidth, but DDR4 is just fine, especially for gaming. It's got nice latency on it and all that too. So, 106 bucks USD. Again, about $140 Canadian. GPU Intel Arc A380. Good budget build. GPU. In my opinion, this is a really good budget build GPU. About $160 Canadian, $120 US. RAM, Silicon Power Value Gaming DDR4 RAM. You can get it for about $25 or right around $40 Canadian. I have seen these kits before and they are around $40 Canadian. Storage Crucial P3 Plus 1 terabyte. $60 or about $80 Canadian. That does seem about right. Again, you'd have to look at the motherboard, make sure it is compatible. Case, Cooler Master Master Box Q300L. That's probably why I have not seen that case before. It's Cooler Master. And you can get about for $38 USD or right around $65 to $70 Canadian. PSU is the Thermaltake Smart Series 500 watt. These are okay power supplies in my opinion. They're okay. They're not great in my opinion, but they are fairly cheap. About $43 USD or again right around $70 to $75 Canadian. The cooler comes with CPU, and that's one thing about getting these i3 14100Fs versus like a 14900K or 14700K. The coolers are not, you don't get the cooler basically. And these are fairly cool, like they run fairly cool on the stock CPU cooler, which is nice. And the total is $480. Again, that's just for the PC. For around $500, you can build a PC that has a discrete graphics card. You won't get the fastest GPU around, but you will be able to play games at 1080p with modest settings. It's a big improvement over relying on integrated GPUs. Plus, the Intel Arc A380 has a decent encoder, so that will help productivity quite a bit, in my opinion. For a cheaper card, it does have a good encoder. For the graphics card in the system, we're going with Intel Arc A380. We didn't love that card at launch, but it's available at Amazon for $119 and has been a low price for a long time. Besides that, it's faster than AMD's competing RX 6400, comes with more VRAM, and most importantly, it has a full video encoding decoding acceleration. Again, it's including AV1 support. So again, like I said, it has a really good encoder and decoding. The card averaged 54.7 frames per second in their benchmark at 1080p medium, though updated drivers may have improved things. Yeah, after the latest Intel BIOS update for these GPUs, you do get a boost. So you probably will see over 60 frames per second, no problem with that update. Another 5 to 10%. Again, you will see 60 frames per second on medium sends 1080p. If you want something a little faster and it can expand your budget by just a few dollars, your best bet is this RX 6500 XT, which goes for around $164. It can take you up to 65.8 frames per second in 1080p, but note that GPU has no video encoding acceleration. It only supports 2 displays, typically one each for HDMI and DisplayPort. So that's a big bummer from if you want to just, see a few more frames, even though you will see these kind of frames with the latest update from Intel. For our CPU, we're going with Intel Core i3-14100F. Again, I have said this before, it is a good budget CPU for people. The price is fairly good for what you get. It stays fairly cool, does not use a lot of wattage, which is just under $125, but delivers plenty of pep for the price. This CPU has 4 cores, all of them performance cores. Again, it's a 4-core CPU. Performance cores, I have reviewed this CPU in the past. And a solid boost clock of 4.7 gigahertz. Comes with a cooler in the box, so there is no need for a third-party one. We found that the 13100F was about on par with AMD's Ryzen 5 5600, which costs about $30 more. So if you're looking for a better spec CPU, the 14100F is just fine, and the price is right around the same as the Ryzen 5 5600. Which a lot of people have the Ryzen 5 5600 and 5600X, as it was a recommended CPU in the past. To work with our 14100F, we need an Intel 600 or 700 series chipset motherboard. Finding the right balance of features and pricing is critical, and you need to be careful that you pick a board that uses the correct type of memory. DDR5 boards can sometimes be $10 cheaper, but then the memory can cost $20 more, or a bit more than $20 more. The best overall value right now is a Gigabyte B760M DS3H, which I should review this motherboard and have my thoughts on it. Is a DDR4 motherboard. Again, DDR4 has a nice low latency. For the bandwidth, it's not as high as DDR5, and that's a downfall for DDR4 versus DDR5. But the performance is roughly the same if you can get a decent kit of RAM. But even with a decent kit of RAM with DDR4, it's going to cost you a lot more than $60 basically. At this price, the motherboard has one big trade-off, which is that you don't get built-in Wi-Fi. And that's one thing I was wondering about this motherboard, is that it didn't have Wi-Fi in its name. Usually it does have Wi-Fi in its name if it has Wi-Fi. And yeah, if it does not have Wi-Fi, you're going to have to get a Wi-Fi card, either a PCIe Wi-Fi card or a USB one. I do recommend, actually I have one right here. So if you can see this here. So this is a Zeus Wi-Fi card. It's 2.4 G. It works really good. This was like a $300 Wi-Fi adapter at one point. It does come with an extension, so you can put it up in a higher spot or closer to the actual router and give you more performance, or you can take it out and just plug it into the motherboard directly, which is great as well. It stays fairly cool, and you can get a really good performance with this Wi-Fi adapter. And I could do a review over this. It works really good in my opinion. So if you need wireless, you'll need to buy your own USB or PSI Wi-Fi dongle. See our list of best Wi-Fi cards, and I can go over some of those if you like as well. Which usually cost between $25 and $40. You may have already have one, or maybe you'll be using Ethernet. If you have Ethernet and just, it's directly plugged into the router through Ethernet, then you don't have to worry about this. But if you are on Wi-Fi or expected to be on Wi-Fi, you will have to get a USB adapter and or Wi-Fi PCIe Express dongle. Alternatively, you could look for a similar board that includes Wi-Fi, but the least expensive DDR4 board that we could find is MSI Pro B760p Wi-Fi for $149. I have checked out this board on Amazon, and it is right around $150 for Canadians as well. You can find this board for 150, around 150, 160. You can find them on sale as well for right around 130, which makes this board a really good contender for budget builds. A $30 bump for that one feature. Having Wi-Fi on board is nice to have though. And especially if you have Wi-Fi 6 or even Wi-Fi 7 built onto the board, even better. Dual bandwidth, it can either 2.4G, 5G, or more. We chose the Crucial P3 Plus for storage, a very affordable PCIe 4.0 SSD that delivers up to 5,000 megabytes per second for sequential reads and 3,600 megabytes per second for sequential writes. It's not the fastest, but that is a lot faster than a standard SSD, which I have around here. So any NVMe drive is going to outbeat a standard SSD. These only go up to about 500, 650 megabytes per second, while you can get 5,000 or even at least 3,000 on some of the cheaper Gen 3 Crucial storage SSD NVMe drives, which is great. It's not the fastest drive on the market, but it's from a trusted brand and is rated for 2,200 so terabytes written. So every time you rewrite, delete stuff, and add more stuff onto the storage and delete it and put it on, you can do up to 220 terabytes of write. So crazy amount of rewrite, especially since it's a 1 terabyte. You can do 220 times its amount. Downloading 1 terabyte or having 1 terabyte of, well, I guess you wouldn't have 1 terabyte. Let's say 500 gigs of video. You delete that and you do that constantly throughout the year. You can do up to 220 times or 220 terabytes, which is absolutely insane. It's really good. It does last a long time. Another good one, in my opinion, is Rocket. Sabrent Rocket makes really good ones. They are some of the top leading now for long-lasting NVMe drives, and the prices are pretty good as well. You might spend maybe $20 more, but you can get something that lasts maybe a bit longer. We selected 16 gigabyte of DDR4. 16 gigabytes nowadays isn't great. Again, I have done benchmarks for like Marvel Rivals and that, and you will be needing about 19 gig to 20 gigs of DDR4 or DDR5 to make sure that you're not going to hinder the game performance by having too little of RAM. 16 gigabytes is not great, but it does work for gaming. Just not the greatest choice in my opinion. So 2x8 configuration, 6400. This is not correct. DDR4 6400 is not correct. That'll be DDR5. So this is probably 3200. So DDR4 3200 megahertz. In a 2x8 configuration with our memory again, choosing RAM that works with your motherboard is critical. You're going to have to make sure that if you're getting a DDR4 board, you're getting DDR4 RAM. If you already have DDR5 and you're just looking to get a new PC, and you are going to use the DDR5 RAM, you're going to have to make sure your motherboard is going to support DDR5 and not DDR4. The silicon power value RAM we chose isn't the flashiest, but it is an inexpensive, and memory has become a commodity item. Whatever you do, don't build or buy a gaming PC with less than 16 gigabytes of RAM, and that is very recommended. I recommend 32 gigabytes of RAM nowadays for gaming, just in gaming in general. I mean, you're gonna need 32 gigabytes, especially if you're on Windows 11, as Windows 11 does use a bit of RAM itself. And then going into a game, you're gonna need more RAM to sustain the actual capacity, basically, of the game. So 16 gigabytes not recommended in my opinion. So it's not bad. It's not bad to have. If you have 16 gigabytes, it's okay. If you already have a system with 16 gigabytes, upgrading to 32 gigabytes might help for these newest games that are being launched. Our case is the Cooler Master Masterbox Q300L, available in black or white. The chassis has solid build quality for the price, including the built-in dust filters. Support up to 240mm AIO cooler on the top, and plenty of mesh to allow airflow in. I don't like like AIOs or even custom water loops to be on the top. All the heat will go up into it, and it will warm up the water just from the actual temperature of the GPU and components inside the actual PC case. So I'd rather have a 240mm AIO on the front, sucking air in, and the excess air going through the top and back. And plenty of mesh to allow airflow in. It even has a modular I/O panel you can place in 6 different locations. Well, that's pretty cool. One small trade-off is that it is a clear side panel, is acrylic rather than tempered glass. And for this price point, acrylic is going to be what you're looking at. To get tempered glass one, you're going to be looking at almost twice the price. Finally, we need something to power the whole system, and this is an area where we opted to compromise in pursuit of the $500 price point. So yeah, the $40 500 watt PSU should be fine for this basic build, which will likely peak around 200 watts of power of use, but the Thermaltake Smart Series isn't exactly highly regarded, and it's not a highly regarded power supply. I do believe it is a bronze, and it is non-modular. The listing mentions Haswell support circa 2014. It only has 80 plus certification, 80 plus probably bronze, which are clear drawbacks. If you want a quality PSU, check out the Thermaltake Tough Power GX2 600 watt that costs $20 more. It's an 80 plus gold certified. Yep. PSU from a reputable brand, albeit perhaps overkill for the build like this. And it might be, but if you're looking to upgrade in the future, in my opinion, always having an 850 watt gold rated power supply, my recommendation is EVGA. I do like EVGA power supplies, or even Corsair. Corsair makes good power supplies as well for a good price. And having an 850 watt will be good for an upgrade in the future without having to upgrade the actual power supply. So now we're going to be looking at $800 PC build for gaming. Thermaltake PC case, front I/O. That's kind of nice. Kind of like the perforated front here. I do like that design. Doesn't allow for the most airflow, but it is kind of nice in my opinion for the look. And they're going to be wrecking the i5-14400F. Okay. All right. So what's the price for this? $146. Yeah, you can find it around $150 to $165 Canadian. Sometimes it's right around $200 CPU though. Motherboard ASRock B760M HDV for $89 or $110 Canadian roughly. You might be able to find it for $100 Canadian on sale on Amazon. GPU AMD Radeon RX 7600. That's actually a decent GPU for this build. $269 US or $310. Well, actually $325, $330 Canadian. RAM Patriot Viper Elite 2 DDR4 3600 2x16. Again, they're saying 2x16. Okay, well, okay, so 32 gigabytes. So this is a better build in my opinion. It is $300 more than the previous build, but 32 gigabytes of DDR4 3600 is good. I do like these Patriot Vipers. They are pretty good RAM kits in my opinion for at least DDR4. And $45. You're not really going to find them for that price. Canadian, you're going to find these kits for right around $80 to $100. Storage, they're using the Western Digital Black SN770 1TB for $69. Nice. For $69 USD. It's probably going to be right around $100 Canadian. You can find these on sale though on Amazon quite a bit. They do come on sale quite a bit for these NVMe drives. And you can find them for right around $80 Canadian, which is great. The case is a Thermaltake Versa H17 for $51. Have not seen this one around, so I'm not sure the Canadian price of it. Actual Canadian price, not just added in the currency to Canadian. But it will probably be right around $100 PC case in my opinion. PSU Thermaltake Smart 700 watt. Again, they're going lower than what I would recommend. And they're using a Thermaltake Smart, which is not, again, the greatest power supply. It is decent. 700 watts is plenty. In my opinion, 850 watt is more of a recommended. 850 watt gold rated 80 plus would be more than sufficient, especially for if you're going to upgrade in the future, like your GPU. Cooler comes with CPU. That's why these i5-14400s, i3-14100Fs are great because they come with a stock cooler that works just fine. So the total is $723 or right around $800. Let's see what they're saying. If you can stretch your budget up from $500 to $800, you can enter a whole new world of gaming performance and productivity. That will be good enough for some serious 1080p gaming without ray tracing. You can technically do ray tracing, but you're gonna lower the performance big time. Unless you're getting maybe the 9070 XT for MSRP or right around MSRP price. That would be a good bonus. That's if you want to upgrade the GPU. The price will be higher, of course, be around $1,000 build. Here we're stepping up from Core i3 to the Core i5-14400F, which has 6 performance cores, 4 efficiency cores, and 16 total threads. I do believe I have gone over the CPU before, and it is a pretty good CPU for a budget build, especially if you need more threads, if you're going to do some small like editing and or just doing some small workstation style stuff, then having the extra threads is a lot nicer, or even just more cores. But if I was, let's say, gaming, I would actually still disable the 4 efficiency cores and just go off of the 6 performance cores. Along with a boost clock of 4.7 gigahertz, which is the same as the 14100F. To be fair, the 14400F is not the fastest gaming CPU in its price range. as that honor belongs to the AMD Ryzen 7 5700X3D. The prices for this CPU have gone up, so the 14400F is probably cheaper, or I do believe it will be cheaper right now, because I do believe the 5700X has gone up in price since the last time it's been reviewed. And it's generous V-cache. So yeah, again, 5700X 3D, it's a good CPU with its V-cache. However, AMD's chip requires a slightly more expensive motherboard and needs a third-party cooler. Unfortunate. While Intel chips comes with a stock cooler in the box. Again, comes with it. You don't have to spend any more money for the cooler for the Intel 14400F. As you can see in the chart below, the 14400F listed as the 14400, but the F model is just the SQ without integrated graphics. Was behind some competitors, but still turned in solid performance. So they got a little bit of a performance chart here. 340, 14600K is something I've recommended many times. 14600K is a good CPU. 5800X, 14400, again 14400 and the 14400F, basically the same price. One just has integrated graphics. To go with the Intel processor, we're sticking with the ASRock B760M HDV motherboard because it supports 14th gen CPUs without a BIOS update. So if you're not tech savvy, then this motherboard is actually really good for you because it does not need a BIOS update. It's a DDR4 board, so we can save money by using DDR4 memory. And speaking of the BIOS update, I would still do the BIOS update so that way you can get the latest microcode in it. I do have videos, or can make a video about doing BIOS update to make sure you are on the latest microcode and latest BIOS for your motherboard. It is a DDR4 board, so we can save money by using DDR4 memory. Our graphics card at this price point is the AMD Radeon RX 7600, which comes in at just under $300. The 7600 has solid performance at 1080p. Ultra settings have an average 84.9 frames per second on our suite of tests. It ranks just above the RX 6600 XT and below the RTX 4060, which has jumped in our price. Yeah, it does. It has jumped in price. Again, like I said, right now it's not a good time to be buying GPUs. And here we go for the 1080p Ultra Gaming, frames per second higher is better. So we're getting 84.9, 4060, 2080, 82.5. I wonder what my 2080 Super does. RX 7600, 82. And the 6650 XT 77. Not bad. The card is really good at 1080p, rasterized non-ray tracing gaming. As our test, it delivered a strong 82 frames per second on a suite of games at 1080p ultra settings. So if you're looking to do ultra setting gaming, it's actually a pretty good system in my opinion for the price. $800, it's pretty good. Canadian will be around probably just over $1,000 or $1,100. For storage, we're going with the 1TB Western Digital Black SN770. This budget-oriented PCIe 4.0 SSD can't beat the top-of-the-line drives like the Samsung 990 Pro or Western Digital Black SN850X, but it has really strong performance for the money, promising sequential reads of up to 5150 and 400 megabits per second. 4,000 megabits per second, so it's pretty good. So there you go. So Sabin Rocket, I do like the Sabin Rocket. They work really good and they last. Sabin Rocket has absolutely blown the market for NVMe drives and has made a really good, long-lasting NVMe drive. Even better than the 980 Pro, which I currently have a 980 Pro 2 terabyte. I've had it for years and it's lasted me a long time. But the Sabin Rocket is actually outbeating it for longevity. Then so Sabin Rocket 4 Plus is actually outlasting 980 Pro 1 terabyte. From tests of people doing this, and it has been verified many times before, and I have talked about before. Sabin Rocket, it has become NVMe absolutely blown out the market. Like I said, they're doing great. Sabin Rocket is making really good NVMe drives. We're going with a 32 gigabyte Patriot Viper Elite 2s, DDR4 RAM, and we're stepping up to a 700 watt version of Thermaltake Smart Power Supply so we can support our higher wattage CPU and GPU. Again, it's not the greatest. It's not the greatest power supply. 32 gigabytes is just fine though. Like 32 gigabytes is my recommendation. Our case is a Thermaltake Versa H18, which is a budget-oriented mesh case with a single fan and tempered glass window. It's not glamorous, but it keeps us under budget. And it does come with a tempered glass window, which is nice. It's nice to see. So you can clean it up without scratching it. Like acrylic, you have to be very, very gentle. You're going to have to make sure you like take the side panel off, rinse it with water, and use a like a special sponge and or microfiber cloth that will make sure it does not scratch the panel. You cannot use any kind of alcohols on it. You have to use water. Basically, that's it for the acrylic. If you use a kind of alcohol based product on acrylic, it will go cloudy. Component type. So, oh yeah, okay, oh yeah. So $1,000 PC build. So we got the $500, we got the $800, now we got the $1,000 PC build. This is U.S. prices, so of course, this $1,000 PC build will be around $1,300 to $1,400 Canadian. CPU AMD Ryzen 7 5700X 3D. Very good CPU in my opinion, just because it has the extra V cache, and it is like contender for the 5800X 3D. And the price is just, it's almost there for the price. The price could be a little bit lower, but the price is really good for $289. Motherboard Gigabyte B550MK, $94. This board's okay. It's okay. GPU NVIDIA RTX 4060. Although they probably could have got away with the 7600 XT, but the 4060 will outperform it. So I guess 4060 is a good choice for the price. RAM, Crucial RAM, 32 gigabyte RAM, 2x16 DDR4 3200 for 44. You're not really gonna find it at this price, in my opinion. Storage, Western Digital Blue SN 580 2 terabyte, $113, and that is right around the price you're gonna find for US. For Canadian, more or less gonna be $160 to $170 Canadian. I have not seen a 2 terabyte for around 150 unless it's on sale, and it's not easy to find these ones on sale. Case Fantex XT Pro, $65. I mean that's a good PC case in my opinion. Looks pretty good for that price. Right around $100 Canadian. Around $100, probably right around 90 to be honest. PSU Corsair CX 750M, and I do recommend these kind of power supplies. These are a lot better. The 850 watt would be a better fit in my opinion, but the 750 watt is just fine for the price especially. I do believe this is a semi-modular PSU. It's not a fully modular, it's semi-modular. So if you're looking for a fully modular PSU, this one will not be it. Cooler ID cooling frost flow 280 millimeter. So you are going to need a cooler for this because this 5700X3 does not come with one. $51. Total is over $1,000, almost $1,200. So their $1,000 PC build is not $1,000, it's $1,200. If you can stretch your budget to up to around $1,100, you can build a PC with the ability to play games really well at 1080p and competitively at 1440p. The best GPU option in this price range right now is NVIDIA RTX 4060, which goes for a little as $369. Unfortunately, that's a significant price increase from the prior months, as we believe NVIDIA may be phasing out this card and planning to release its replacement, the RTX 5060, at some point. They stopped making the 40 series cards, so they did. They fully stopped making the 4060 or even any 40 series cards. They stopped making it so that way they can replace it with the 50 series. In our 8-game rasterization test suite at 1080p ultra settings, the RTX 4060 offered an impressive frame rate of 91.9 frames per second, which was still strong at 65.9 frames per second when we jumped to 1440p. So if you're looking for at least 60 frames per second, it's a really good budget build in my opinion. Not really the most budget build. $1,200 is quite a bit, but for the GPU prices nowadays, CPU prices right now, motherboard prices are not terrible depending on which ones you're looking at. It's actually a pretty good build for 60 frames per second and up at 1440p. And not everyone has a 165 or 360 hertz or 540 hertz monitor. So a lot of people do have 60 hertz monitors. And 4060 Ti is doing 75.6, 6700 XT 73, and the RTX 4060 at 61.2, and the RX 7600. Maybe the XT model would do around 60 as well. 57.3 for the 7600. A recommended CPU for this build is a AMD Ryzen 7 5700X3D. Again, has been a recommended CPU for a very long time now, which is one of the best gaming CPUs you can get, particularly for the price. This 8-core 16-thread CPU has 96 megabytes of L3 cache, which makes it great for 1080p gaming. On our test, it edged out more expensive competitors like Ryzen 5 7600X and the Core i5 14400, which is great to see. Yeah, you can just pause the video or live stream if you want to check that out. To support our Ryzen 7 5700X3, we're using a Gigabyte B550MK motherboard. This motherboard does not have Wi-Fi. Again, this is one of the reasons why I don't like certain motherboards. Does not have Wi-Fi built in. Wi-Fi built in is a must in my opinion for most gamers, as they're not going to be all hardwired and Ethernet to their router. So Wi-Fi is a very good bonus for motherboards, and you can find them for right around the same price. You just got to do some searching. But it has QFlash Plus, which allows you to update the BIOS before you install the CPU. This may be necessarily as the 5700X3 just came out a few months ago. Again, updating the BIOS is not too difficult, but if you're not tech savvy, maybe take it to your local computer store or checking out on Facebook Marketplace about PC builders and see if they can do that for you. The Ryzen 7 5700X3D doesn't come with a stock cooler. Again, that sucks, so we're adding an inexpensive 240mm AIO cooler to the mix. You can also put a air cooler for a little bit cheaper if you wanted, but AIO is kind of recommended for this CPU. We're sticking with 32GB of DDR4, 3200. There's no real need to go faster or increase the capacity at this price point. Using DDR4 save us money over DDR5, and that is because of the motherboard, more or less. You can find DDR5 nowadays for around the same price as DDR4, especially for 32GB kits. For storage, we're stepping up. Yeah, and if you have not checked it out, again, I did do a review over Amazon's cheapest DDR5 kit. Canadian, it's $100, so US it'll be around $80 US or even cheaper. So definitely check out that video. For storage, we're stepping up to a faster, higher capacity SSD, the 2TB. 2TB is kind of a recommendation nowadays. There are some games like Call of Duty that are 100 gigabytes, so absolutely insane amount of storage used just for one single game. So 2TB is kind of recommended nowadays. This PCIe 4.0 drive promises sequential read and writes up to 4150 megabits per second, along with random read-write IOPS of 600K and 750K respectively. It's not the fastest drive on the market, but it gets the job done, and it's a lot faster again than a standard SSD. A lot faster. Faster boot up times, faster game load up times, just so much better for if you're just looking to get into gaming. Just go with NVMe. We're going with the Fantex XT Pro as our case because it has a quality mesh design, room for up to 360mm AO up top. I don't like how it's just up top for 360, but maybe you could put a 240mm on the front and it'll be just fine. In my opinion, on the front is better than the top. The ability to support back connecting motherboards should you get one in the future. For $20, you can get the Fantex XT Pro Ultra, which comes with 4 ARGB fans, and that can save you a little bit of money if you don't want to buy fans yourself, because fans are actually pretty pricey. And since these are already ARGB and you like RGB, this is a kind of a case that you would want to look at, especially for the price. Finally, we stepped up to a 750 watt power supply, and we're going with Corsair CX750M, which is an 80 plus bronze certified. Again, I can't recommend the 80 plus bronze 750. If it was 850 watt, I could more or less recommend it, because then you're getting a little bit more wattage, and it will hit respectively around the efficiency point of the actual power supply with this build. And it's semi-modular again. I do have a 650 watt one of these. It is 80 plus bronze, and it is semi-modular, so same thing, just 100 watts more. And I got mine for $45 Canadian. It was very, very cheap. You can get a modular PSU or one that's 80 plus gold certified for a bit more. It's going to cost you about $15 to $20 more. But that's money you don't need to spend at this price point. But it will help you in the future, especially if you're going to upgrade the GPU, and it's going to allow you to go into the efficiency point of the actual power supply with an 80 plus gold. Best $1,500 PC for gaming. That's a nice looking PC, in my opinion. Very nice. Very nice. A little bit different for the I/O, but it's very nice. Let's see what they got. And it's got the i5 14600KF. CPU that I recommend, even a 13600K or KF I recommend. The KF I would not recommend if you, let's say something goes wrong and you're not sure why you're not getting display. The KF does not have discrete graphics. If you get the K version, you will have discrete graphics, and it's more or less recommended in my opinion. But this KF is a good overclock CPU. In my opinion. So 14600 13600, very good, and you're gonna find them right around the same price point as each other, in my opinion. Since I've looked around on Amazon and Canadian, they're actually around the same price point, which is kind of insane in my opinion there. For $215 US, you gotta find them for around $250 to $260 Canadian. We can find them here in Canada on sale on Amazon for around $200, to be honest. Motherboard Gigabyte Z790 Gaming X AX, and this is a very good motherboard. Very good. It has the 700 series chipset on it. It's very good. It's the Z version, even better, and it's one of their newest lineup for $219. Right around $260, $280 Canadian. GPU, they're using the 4060 Ti on this one for $546, $630, $640 Canadian. That's if you can even find one right now for that price. You probably can find scalping price for a bit more. But this is a very good GPU. Has a really good encoder as well. RAM, Crucial Pro RAM, 32 gigabytes, DDR5, which is my recommendation. Getting at least 32 gigabytes. You got to find it for right around $110 to $120 Canadian, or right around $90 US. Storage, Western Digital Black SN850X, so they're up in the actual NVMe drive on this one as well, and 2 terabytes again is a recommendation. The price you gotta find Canadian for this one is $200+ for this actual drive. It is not a cheap drive for Canadians. $150 US is not cheap either. Case Lian Li Landcool 216RX for around $100 or $140 Canadian. PSU Corsair CX750M. Again. Come on, man. At least 850 watt gold rated power supply would be more of a recommendation. And you don't need to get ID cooling FrostFlow 280mm. You don't need it. It's a dual 140mm fan AIO. You can get an air cooler that will work just fine for the CPU. Even overclocking it will work just fine. The price point is there, but you can find Thermalright Peerless Assassin. So it's a Peerless Assassin. Um, it works really good. It's a 120 SE Peerless Assassin, and you can find it for US $25 or maybe $30 US. It's $45 or $40 Canadian for that air cooler, and it's a recommended cooler that I've done in the past. Total $1,455, so just shy of $1,500, which is really decent for a more of a medium and PC build. As we step up to a build that should be brilliant at 1080p gaming, really strong for 14p, capable of running ray tracing games well, we're looking around $1,500 budget. Depending on the current prices on graphics cards, we recommend going with NVIDIA RTX 4060 Ti at this price point. And I would as well. If you can find a 4070 Super or 4070 at this price point, it would be a better as well. Again, getting a higher end power supply, 850 watt gold rated, would be better as well. And you can again find them on sale for really good prices. It used to be the case that the RTX 4070 and 7000 XT were available in this price band or price range, but prices have gone way up recently, and they have, again, it's not recommended to be buying GPUs at this time. Maybe wait a month or two to see where the GPU prices stabilize at, and check to see how the used price market is looking, and you can find used GPUs from last year models for a lot cheaper, especially right now. Prices are just insane. The 4060 Ti can produce a playable 52.8 frames per second average frame rate at 1080p ultra settings with ray tracing enabled. So pretty close to 60 frames. You can put it down to high settings and get 60 frames per second. We're also upgrading the CPU to Intel Core i5-14600KF, an overclockable processor that has 6 performance cores, 8 efficiency cores, 20 threads, and a boost clock of 5.3 gigahertz. That's for your temp to overclock it, and you can overclock these no problem. They don't use a lot of wattage, and you don't need a AIO. You can put a decent air cooler on this that will fit in that case. Like I said, Thermalright Peerless Assassin SE 120 SE is a very good CPU cooler in my opinion, and will work really good for this CPU, and you'll save you $20 to $30. And you don't have to worry about the AIO actually going out on you or dying, and then all of a sudden you're getting overheating CPU for no reason. So it's really good air cooler. We're going with the Gigabyte Z790 Gaming XAX motherboard, which allows overclocking with a 16 plus 2 plus 1 phase digital VRM design. 16 hardware and 2 plus 1 digital VRM. So fake VRMs. It also comes with built-in Wi-Fi 6E, and that's a bonus, huge bonus. USB 3.2 Gen 2x2, 20 gigabits per second, 2.5 gigabit LAN, and QFlash plus BIOS updating ability, which makes updating your BIOS a breeze. You just download onto a USB drive. You want to flash it to FAT32. Go on to Gigabyte's site there, search up your motherboard, download the actual BIOS to the drive. You gotta name it as gigabyte.bin, and you plug it into the back of the motherboard where it says for QFlash, there's a certain USB plug-in for it. You plug it into that, you hit that QFlash, done. You don't even need a CPU in the motherboard. You can do the BIOS update without any CPU in the motherboard. Absolutely amazing. Smartest thing they've ever done. So let's say you accidentally brick it. Let's say something goes wrong. Your power goes out while doing an update of the BIOS, and you have this motherboard here. What you can do is simply just keep that USB in, wait till the power's back on, hit that Q flash, and it will fix that bricked motherboard. Absolutely amazing. Love it. Smartest thing they've ever done. Though Intel 14th gen CPUs can use DDR4 or DDR5 RAM, this motherboard utilizes DDR5 RAM, so we're going with an affordable 32 gigabyte kit from Crucial with a top speed of 5600 megatransfers per second. Not the fastest speeds, but it will work on this motherboard and CPU, no problem, no questions asked. and within Intel specs. So again, it'll just work, no questions asked. We're going with one of the best PCIe 4.0 SSDs you can buy, Western Digital Black SN850X at 2 terabytes. In their test, it was a neck and neck with other top drives, including SK Hynix Platinum P41 and the Samsung 990 Pro. So the SKX Hynix Platinum P41 2 terabyte is pretty fast, but it is up there again. It is up there. Our case for this build is the $100 Lian Li Landcool 216. We'll review the Lian Li Landcool 216. We praised its included dual RGB 160mm front and single 140mm exhaust fans. Excellent cable management and attractive looks. There's also plenty of room for a top mounted radiator up to 316mm. Again, not my recommendation for a top mounted AIO or even custom water loops. I do not recommend it. I recommend a front AIO or custom water loop radiator. Must be a front, in my opinion. It's just recommended. All the heat's gonna go up through it. It's gonna heat up the water, even though and your CPU is gonna be running, so it's gonna heat up the water even more. If you're on a AIO, AIO might not like the added temperature, and it might wear out the AIO faster, and you might be left with an overheating CPU fairly recently in the future. Our power supply is a 750 watt Corsair CX750M 80 plus gold certified. Okay, so it is 80 plus gold. PSU packs enough power to support our GPU with plenty of juice to spare. However, it's not fully modular with some of the wires being built in. And that's going to be your 24 pin and your 8 pin for your motherboard, basically. That's the only thing that's going to be non-modular. Everything else for your GPU, SATA, and perf is going to be modular, which is nice. So that's a pretty good build in my opinion, and it looks pretty good. I like that case. I like that case a lot. A nice white build, although the motherboard could be white, GPU could be white to make it a nice all white build, but it looks pretty good. Okay, now we're gonna go into a $2,000 PC build for gaming. Oh, okay, so they got a stock cooler there. Don't have to worry about temperatures of that. Got vertical mount. That's nice. Maybe this case comes with a vertical mount already. So let's look at the hardware on this one. CPU AMD Ryzen 7 7800X3D, $439 US. It's like $550 CPU Canadian. Minimum that you're gonna find at 550. Minimum. Motherboard is the Gigabyte B650M Gaming Plus Wi-Fi, so it has built-in Wi-Fi, nice. It's a $200 Canadian, $500 or $160 US. GPU is RTX 5070 Ti, very good GPU. It is PCIe 5.0 with GDDR7, which is nice to see. And it is 16 gigabytes of VRAM, which is also very nice. So when things get fixed around with the PCIe 5.0 and GDDR7, we'll see probably performance of this GPU rise quite a bit. RAM, G.Skill Trident Z RGB series, so it's RGB RAM. You're paying more for the RGB, you don't technically need it. 32 gigabyte 2x16 DDR5 6000, so it is a 6000 kit, not 5600, which is a little bit of an upgrade. But the 5600, you could probably overclock it no problem to 6000 and save yourself some money there. Storage, Western Digital Black SN850X 2 terabyte. Again, they're recommending this one and not the 980 Pro, which is probably right around the same price or even cheaper right now. Case is the HYTE or the Height Y40. That's why I've seen that one before. How's it going, Rom? $130 US. You got to find this case probably right around $170 to $180 Canadian. Good, man. Glad to hear it. PSU Corsair RM750E. It's $100 for this PSU. The RM750E is actually a pretty good power supply. Again, they're using the ID Cooling FX360 360mm cooler. It's ID Cooling. It's just 360 instead of their 280 that they're recommending before. And this is going to be around $1,900 or $2,000 US. $2,400 to $2,500 Canadian. Crazy. At a current price of $1,901 or $2,000, our high-end game PC build should provide enough performance to play games at 1440p ultra settings with strong frame rates and 4K ultra wide with playable frame rates, so probably around 60 frames per second. The system gets its GPU muscle from an RTX 5070 Ti, which with the frame gen will give you good frames if the game supports it, which would be available for $749 at MSRP, but it is only available on eBay at scalpers prices, and the prices are probably right around $2,000, I do believe, Canadian, right around $1,200 to $1,400 US for eBay scalper price. Absolutely insane. The card is backed by AMD's Ryzen 7 7800X3D, which has 8 cores, 16 threads. Yo, what's up, man? Which has 8 cores, 16 threads, and a whopping 104 megabytes of cache. So the 3D cache, the 7800X 3D is a monster CPU, especially for gaming. It is very good for gaming. In our test, the RTX 5070 Ti averaged 100.3 frames per second at 1440p. On our 16 game rasterization test, it's also capable of 61.2 frames per second at 4K. Crazy. Yeah. So decent build. Very decent build. Crazy, crazy, crazy build. For some people, at least, this would be an absolute monster of a system. If you just do gaming, this system will do whatever kind of gaming that you're looking to do for decent frames. Yeah, definitely, indeed. AMD Ryzen 7 7800X3 offers a superior experience thanks to its 1004 megabit of 3D cache, along with its 8 core 16 thread and 5 GHz boot clock. Yes, AMD makes the Ryzen 9 7950X3D, which has 16 cores, but costs a lot more money. $200 to $300 more, depending on where you live, to be honest. There's also now the Ryzen 7 9800X 3D, and then we got the Ryzen 9 9950X 3D, which is a 16 core 32 thread monster. But that, yeah, is way out of stock, and yeah, good luck trying to find these CPUs, especially for the price of what they should be. On a suite of Windows 11 tests running at 1080p with RTX 4090 card, the 7800X 3D averaged 224 frames per second, putting it slightly behind the Ryzen 9 7950X 3D at 222 frames per second, and we have Intel's top offering at the time we tested and currently. Yeah, wow, crazy, man. Crazy. It is a really good CPU. 7800X 3D is really good. 7950X 3D is really good. Prices, yeah, price is really up there. Canadian for the CPU, it's still $1,000. It's crazy. 13900K. You can find 13900K for cheaper than this. Depending on where you live, you can find it cheaper. I got my 13900K for just over $200 brand new from Amazon when they had a 65% off sale on 13900K. I was one of the 6 people that actually got the deal, so I was one of the lucky ones. I paid the same price for my 13900K as I did my 12600K. To cool the CPU, we're using an ID cooling FX360, so 360mm AIO. Again, in this case, it's top mounted. I don't like it. I really don't like top mounted. Especially, it wears out the AIOs more. AIOs don't have the greatest motors built into them, and they do wear out as temperature rises. And having a top mounted, the temperature will rise. We were impressed with its low noise output and fantastic cooling output as an attractive RGB, and you get all that for a measly $69 US. Good price. Very good price. Our motherboard is Gigabyte B650M, decent motherboard, and it does come with Wi-Fi, which is something I do recommend. Which is one of the more affordable AM5 motherboards you can buy, but it still packs in Wi-Fi 6E radio. AMD Zen 7000 chips require DDR5 RAM, so we're going with 32 gigabyte of G-Skill, and G-Skill is a very good, reputable brand for DDR5 and DDR4. It's just really good, especially the Triton Z5. It's very nice, very, very nice. The Trident Z kit tops our list of best RAM thanks to its tight timings, fast performance, and overclocking potential. Really good for overclocking. And if you did not see, there was a competition on hardwarebot.org. I did review it, showing that the winner of the G Skill competition won $40,000 USD, and I would have been a part of it, but right now I do not have G Skill RAM. So congrats to the winner of the G Skill competition of winning $40,000 USD. In our test, the Z5 also has the lowest memory latency of its competitors. It doesn't have the lowest, does not have the lowest, and you can overclock any RAM kit to have a lower latency. And if you check the RAM kits, usually the lower latency has a higher voltage for the RAM kit. So that's how you get lower latency and or just having better ICs. Yeah, man. It's why I do overclocking. There are competitions like the G Skill where the winner does get 40,000 USD, and it does go down from there. And like the top 10 does get a brand new kit of 8,000 mega transfer per second of G Skill RAM. So that is one of the nice things about doing overclocking competitions. You can either win PC hardware or win a lot of money. So G-Skill Trident Z RGB DDR5 6000 C36. Again, that's not great. It's not great. That's not low latency at all. I have a 7200 Corsair Dominator Titaniums. They're 7200 megatransfer per second CL36 just on XMP, and I can overclock it to CL30 or CL28 for part of a competition I did last year. What up, Hart? Yeah, it's really great. It's really great. How's it going, Hart? Haven't seen you in a while, man. Hope you're doing good. G-Skill Team Group T-Force Delta, it's C40. These kits you can get for a really good price. Corsair Dominator Platinums are like the Titaniums, but Titaniums are customizable. You can, if you have a 3D printer, you can make your own toppers for them. You can buy replacement toppers. You can take apart the heat sinks a lot easier. They're just really nice for the Titaniums, in my opinion. Yeah, very nice. For the SSD, we're sticking with the Western Digital SN850X at 2 terabyte. You're just really hungry? Well, get yourself some food, man. You really can't do much better without spending a lot more money on a PCIe 5 drive or a 4 terabyte capacity. 4 terabytes are really pricey, especially right now. Pizza, yeah, I know, right? I wish I got some pizza right now, too. Our case is the HYT Y40, which is a great showcase for components. It's beautiful wraparound glass, tempered glass that extends from the front to the left side. The case is available in 3 colors, but I really like it in red. To power all these high-end components, we're using a Corsair RM750E PSU, which is an 80 plus certified and is fully modular, which is a better for people that want fully modular. Now everyone's hungry. Thanks, Hart. Best $4,000 plus PC build for gaming. I do like the fractal case here. It's very nice. I like the wood. This is the walnut front panel. You can get an oak, but this is the walnut, and I do like it in black. It's really nice. Yeah. CPU, they're using the Ryzen 7 9000X3D. Yeah, of course. Yeah. AMD Ryzen 7 9000X3D. It's around $500 US. Canadian, we're gonna find this right around $700 to $800, which is absolutely insane for the price of this CPU right now. It is insane for the price. Gigabyte 8X87E Aorus Pro Ice AM5. So it's an Aorus Pro. It's nice. Technically don't even need to go this high end for this, but since it's a $4,000 PC build, why not? Why not? And you're gonna find this board actually for right around $400 to $450 Canadian, which is not too much more than US. It's not even going for dollar, so it's great to see that. Take a bite, yeah. GPU, and they're saying the NVIDIA RTX 5090 for $2,000 US. Good luck. You're looking at 3,000 to 4,000, and for Canadian, we're looking around $5,000 Canadian for the 5090. Absolutely insane. And are you gonna find it? Nah, you're probably not even gonna find it. Scalpels will have it for about $10,000 though if you want one. RAM, G-Skill Trident Z5 RGB, DDR5, 2x16, DDR5, 6400, two kits. And they're using two kits. I would just use a single kit. It's just better for compatibility, and not all kits are made the same. Even though they are the same kits, they might not be the same. So, but they are saying two kits. Samsung 990 Pro 4TB, and yeah, that's right around the price you're looking at. It's right around a $450 to $500 Canadian kit for the 990 Pro 4TB. Insane. Fractal Design North XL. Again, I do like the fractal, especially the walnut one. Black case looks really nice in my opinion. Yeah, damn. PSU using the Corsair RM1000E for 169. Nice. So $169. It's going to be around $230 Canadian. Cooler Master Liquid PL360 Flux 130. And I do believe this case does do front mount for 360 mil, so it's a good choice for AIO for front mount in my opinion, and the AIO will last longer. Total of $3832, right around $4,000 for this PC build. So here's where we're at. The best graphics card on the market, should you be able to get one, is the NVIDIA RTX 5090, which has an MSRP of $2,000. However, at press time, the only way to get this via scalper, either eBay or elsewhere. Facebook Marketplace scalpers, I don't know where else you want to find these kind of scalpers. I wouldn't even buy it or even think about it for price above the MSRP price. Maybe $100 or $200, give or take, I might do, but for this price of MSRP, it should be around the MSRP price, whether or not it's being sold by someone else or a retailer. So yeah. So we're putting the RTX 59 down as a card for ultimate build. Of course, it's going to be ultimate build. Even the 7900 XTX would be a good card right now. And hopefully here in the end of this year, AMD will have a higher end graphics card, but I don't believe they will have a higher end graphics card other than what they have right now, which is the 9070 XT. But it doesn't compare to the 5090, unfortunately. But you'll have trouble getting one unless you're willing to pay more than $2,000 for it. And you're going to pay a lot more than $2,000 for either US or Canadian. Scalpers are absolutely insane. On our test, the RTX 5090 was fully capable of playing games at 4K with ultra settings of ray tracing enabled. On our 6-game test, it averaged 90.2 frames per second, a full 20 frames per second more than its predecessor 4090 at 4K, which is great. Sadness, yep. We all a little sad about that one, unfortunately. Our CPU is AMD's Ryzen 7 9000X3D, which offers faster gaming than any Intel CPU on the market. For some games with the 5090, the 9000X3D is bottlenecking the 5090, so be aware of that. Some games are being bottlenecked by the 9000X3D, and some games are not being bottlenecked by the 14900K or KS. So it's a give or take on that. It's from what I've found, either watching reviewers, YouTubers, and or looking online on the forums, is yeah, the 9000X3D does bottleneck the 5090 in some games. Now, would the Ryzen 9 9950X3D bottleneck the 5090? I don't know. There has no test been done yet to have found to suggest that it does not bottleneck the 5090. Including the Core i9 1400K. Again, that's give or take a couple games, okay? There are a few games out there that the 9000X3D does bottleneck the 5090 and the 1400K does not. It's so nice to actually talk to on time even though you're not 4K. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I was like, I should do a non 4K ultra low latency. The video does not look the greatest in my opinion because it's not 4K. It does not utilize my camera properly, so I don't like that. But at least I can chat to everyone and see the chat a lot faster, and I hope everyone enjoys that as well. It has a whopping 140 megabyte of cache thanks to its AMD innovative 3D V cache, and it boasts 16 full power cores and 32 threads, which is more regular cores than 13900KS, set of 8 to go with 16 E-cores. For multi-threading though, the 13900K is probably still going to be better. We'll have to see though. I'll have to see in some tests. I'm just speculating that 1300K could be better in multi-core tests, but we'll have to see. On our test, the Ryzen 9 9900X. It's not a Ryzen 9. They just went Ryzen 7. Then all of a sudden they're going Ryzen 9. What is this? So it's on our test, Ryzen 7 9800X3D beat Intel's flagship 1400K by a full 50 frames per second on a 1080p suite of games. The last gen Ryzen 7 7800X3D, it's also really good at game, but does not hit these highs. It does not, and the lows can be affected too as well. So gotta look at that as well. But for this system, it's great. It's a great choice for having the Ryzen 7 9800X3D. How goes Marvel Rivals, man? We're using a Gigabyte X870E Aorus Pro Ice AM5 motherboard, which comes with a built-in Wi-Fi 7. Great to have. 4 M.2 slots for storage and USB 4. To cool the CPU, we're using a Cooler Master Liquid PL360 Flux, which is a very good affordable at $130 US, and will do a solid job. It will do a really good job at cooling this CPU. The CPU runs hot though. The Ryzen 7 9800X3D does run fairly hot, so be well aware of that. And if you're looking at different kind of AIOs, make sure you're getting still a really good top of the line or recommended AIO for this. Great 5 games still in diamond, and I can still get higher. Nice. Because we're fattening our budget for this build, fattening it quite a bit. We're going with some speedy DRAM for the form of G-Skill Trident Z5 RGB DDR5, which operates at up to 6400 megahertz. They're saying megahertz. Mega transfers per second is what DDR5 is. So 6400 mega transfers per second. 6400 for the CPU is kind of the max you're going to get unless you're going to do manual tuning. Getting a RAM kit that works out of the box that's faster than 6400 mega transfers per second for the Ryzen 7 9800X3D is not a guarantee. You're definitely not going to get past that. I do believe BuildZoid, or actually hardcore overclocking over on YouTube, did do overclocked on the Ryzen 7 9800X3D up to 8000 mega transfers per second. But again, he's using 1.77 volts to accomplish these speeds. He also did, I do believe, 6800 or 6400 CL30, but he had to use 1.6 volts. Again, this is manually tuning, and you're going well above the recommended voltages for DDR5. So please be well aware, if you're watching those kind of videos, make sure you're watching the full thing and getting the full information. If not, you'll be you will not see the same performance because you're not manually tuning it and you're not using the voltages that are way out of spec to achieve the speeds and frequencies. The speeds and the timings, basically. In a review of the G-Skill Trident Z5, we lauded the kit's strong performance and excellent overclockability. In our table, we're linking to a 64 gigabyte kit, 2x32, as that is the highest capacity it is sold in. Nice. We're going with a 4 terabyte Samsung 990 Pro, which has plenty of capacity and is the fastest PCIe 4.0 drive you can buy. Sure, we can go up to PCIe 5.0 drive, but we don't see enough performance gains to just justify one, even in this high-end build right now. For $4,000, yeah, I mean, you're pretty much maxing out the $4,000 budget with their specs here, and especially with the 4 terabyte 990 Pro. It's not cheap, not cheap. $350 US, and we're looking well above $400 Canadian. I turned off hyper thread on my CPU because my volts on my BIOS could not be changed. Weird. I wonder what motherboard you have, man. But disabling the hyperthreading can help quite a bit for stability on your CPU. So glad you did do that. At least it does help quite a bit. We decided to go with a case that has a unique premium look in the Fractal Design North XL with its wood paneled front. This chassis looks more like a mid-century modern piece of furniture than a gaming PC. That's what I really like about it. Which is a nice subtle touch. However, it also has a tempered glass side panel, which you can use to show off all your RGB components or just show off the inside of the PC. I'm not a RGB fan. Or you can buy it with a solid panel and no window. It also has a fantastic thermal performance and plenty of room for more drives and fans. The XL model can accommodate up to an EATX motherboard, which is great. I do use EATX motherboard. It is an extended ATX motherboard, quite a bit bigger. I use a Z690 ORS Master, so if you have a Z690 ORS Master or looking to get a Z690 ORS Master, Z790 ORS Master, just note that it is an extended ATX and not all PC cases will hold or house this motherboard. Absolutely massive. That's why I like my new white computer in building. Nice. And nice have a nice white computer. It does look really good for showcasing your PC, giving you plenty of room for future upgrades. That's why I like that PC case. With these high-end components, we don't want to skip on the power supply, and having something that's fit for a future graphics card makes sense. We're going with a full 1000 watt. I would recommend 1200 watt minimum if you're getting a 5090. By the way, I would recommend a 1200 watt, not 1000, a 1200 minimum. And that's the Corsair RM1000E. This power supply is Cybernetics Gold certified and fully modular. It's a nice power supply, but 1200 watt would be more recommended for my opinion. Building a PC, what to look for at each component. Let's see what they're saying here. CPU, this is the brains of your computer and heavily reflects 1080p gaming. Look for one with a strong gaming benchmarks and a higher end with lots of L3 cache. Yes, L3 cache does help gaming quite a bit. GPU, this is the most important component for gaming, but it's also the most expensive component. Get the best GPU available in your price band. Price range of your GPU depends on you and what you're looking to spend just on the GPU. Having a higher end GPU can help you in the future for gaming, just having a higher end GPU. Most of today's very best GPUs are frequently out of stock and available for only scalper prices, which is, it just sucks. It just sucks that there's so many scalpers out there doing this. All in. RAM, we generally look at the best value on RAM as performance differences are slight. Again, yes, you do not need the highest end best kits of RAM. Having a CL30 kit you do not technically need. You're not going to see a difference between CL30 and CL36. If you do, then you're some sort of robot and you should get that checked out. Ideally, you want at least 32 gigabytes of RAM. Again, that's my recommendations. You can save money by going with DDR4 or DDR5, but you have to look at the motherboard and whether or not your CPU actually supports DDR4. So, yeah, make sure you take a look at that. But you need to make sure your CPU and motherboard support that kind of RAM you're considering. Exactly. Motherboard, most importantly, make sure the board accommodates your CPU. If your CPU is newer than the motherboard chipset, make sure you get a motherboard that can receive firmware upgrades without a processor on board, often called BIOS flashback. Built-in Wi-Fi is a big plus. It's a huge plus. Huge plus. Not everyone's going to be plugged in with Ethernet, so having Wi-Fi on your motherboard built in just saves you some money because you don't have to buy a Wi-Fi adapter or PCIe Wi-Fi. Cooling, we try to save money on cooling when possible, purchasing CPUs with stock coolers in the box. Otherwise, 360 or 240 mil AIO all-in-one is good, but there's no need to spend a lot of money on one. No, you can get away with the less wattage CPUs with just an air cooler, and you don't have to worry about the motor or the AIO going bad on you, because there are a lot of AIOs that just go bad from heat, and yeah, heat kills AIOs very quickly. Power supply. On lower end builds, you need wattage more than anything else. For higher end builds, you not only need at least 750 watt or 850 watt, I recommend always 850 watt plus, but you want a gold or platinum supply for top energy efficiency. That's if you're hitting the actual efficiency range while gaming. That's the only time you're really going to see any difference between gold and platinum. So just be well aware that you have to be hitting that efficiency range on the actual power supply. So going from 750 watt, 850 watt might be a good bonus. Maybe going from 850 watt to 750 watt if you don't have the most powerful GPU and CPU might be actually better for you and could save you maybe a couple dollars a year or maybe $10 a year in hydro bill, basically. That's all you're really going to see a difference in. Case. First and foremost, you need a case that'll fit your motherboard. So if you're getting a big motherboard, you're going to need a big case. So if you're buying an ATX motherboard, don't get a case that only supports micro ATX. Duh. After that, look for lots of case fan placement, room for a 360mm AO cooler, a tempered glass side panel, and both USB-C and USB-B Type A ports on the front panel, which is always good to have. So nice. That's it. That's it for that there. Hey, woo. I don't want that. Again, I really like this case, though. This fractal case. Such a nice case. It's a very nice case. I'm using a really old EVGA case. I believe it's called a DG67. Very old, but it does support my motherboard, so I like that. Yep, very nice. Black with the walnut accent. Clean, clean, clean. Sexy, sexy beast. RTX 48 Super is nice. Nice card. 47 Ti Super is also really good. Trying to find one though, but the 7900 XTX is also a really good one for the price. You can find them still right now, fairly good price. It could change in the future. Price could go up on these cards, so if you can find one of these cards for a good price, the 7900 XTX, again it's a 24 gigabyte card, lots of VRAM. Does not have the greatest ray tracing cores on it. The newest 97 XT kind of matches or outperforms the 7900 XTX for ray tracing. So if you're into ray tracing, I would look into a newer gen GPU for that. So let me know what you guys think. Do you like these picks? Do you like my recommendations over some of the recommendations that they're saying? Are these prices even true? Again, a lot of these prices right now are actually true. I've gone through some of these before in the past, and I've always keeping up to date on either eBay or Amazon for these kind of prices, and they are right around that, except for this 5090. You're not going to find it for MSRP price right now, unfortunately. That's why you have 4080 and a 4070 Super. Very nice. Yeah, very good options. No idea. Of course you don't. You're a Mac. You're a Mac user. Boo. Did you get your food yet there, Hart? Yeah, so C40, C38, C40. Nothing wrong with C40. Did you get your food? Did you get your pizza yet? Get off the stage. Throw the Mac in the trash. The Mac is great, he says. Yeah, for proprietary noobs. Yeah. I have actually right now in my PC, I haven't even taken it out. Corsair Vengeance 5200 megatrans per second C40 kit, 32 gigabyte kit. It works just fine. And I'm streaming and recording right now as well, so works just fine. I'm also recording at 4K right now. I'm not streaming at 4K, I'm recording at 4K. Gonna make a video of this. Again, I have reviewed the 5600 CL46 kit, 1.1 volts. No XMP required, just plug and play this kit, and it works just fine. I have overclocked it to 6,000 megatransfers per second, and the kit actually works pretty good in my opinion. And this is Amazon's cheapest DDR5 kit that you can find right now. You gotta edit your latest video? Nice. Get to it, man. Um, I've been doing some editing. I just haven't been doing like a hard editing that I normally use. Definitely check out that GPU prices going into April 2025, and tell me what you see is different on it. I did something on it, and it kind of creeps me out, but no one's said anything yet right now. So I'm hoping someone figures out what I did with it, and so that way they can actually see that AI is actually taking over the world. Because, yeah, I did something in that video that no one's actually said anything about yet. Almost 100 views on it. No one still has said anything about it. I know, it creeps me out, though. Yeah, some of my previous past videos I've done editing, it's taken me hours. Especially when I do like long streams, like really long streams, and then edit the videos. It takes me hours to edit the videos. Not because of my PC, because trimming 12 hours of video to something that's like 45 minutes takes so long. That's it for this video here. I'm not gonna make this live stream a long one. I might do a live stream later on today. We'll see what I do here. But that's probably gonna be it for this video. And then gotta start editing some video. I gotta make some food myself because I am also pretty hungry. Thanks for making me hungry there, Heart. You still have the streams that we did together. You still have to edit those. Hurry up and edit them, man. Hurry up and edit them. Get them done, man. Get them done. Yeah, Heart's laughing. He's made me hungry. Probably gonna make myself some chicken. Chicken and rice, probably. We'll see. Of course, man. Of course. Again, always thank you for joining the stream, man. You're always here. Glad you can always make it. So, I'm gonna put my big boy pants on here. Say goodbye to everybody. All right, that's gonna be it for this stream, everyone. Again, thank you for watching. Thank you to all my viewers, subscribers, and donators. You guys are helping out this channel greatly. If you're not part of the Discord channel, definitely take a look at that Discord link in the description below. If you have not checked out the Patreon page, definitely take a look at that as well. If you want to help support this channel, you can join the YouTube channel as well. There are different price ranges around, and anything does help. I also do have PayPal in the description below if you'd like to donate to this channel just to help support. Again, anything does help. And again, thank you to all my donators in the past that have actually helped out this channel. Helps out greatly as well. As always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to get her done.